What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I am a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. Thank you, as always. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sending me a tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. That continues to be the single best way to help me to continue to do what I'm doing. If you like this content and you want to get some special stuff on Patreon, you can do that there. There's an electional report there to help you time your life and your business and these kinds of things. You can go on to Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, and listen to the music. You can check out the breathing exercise there. There's also R&B music, which is just fun to listen to. I think both of them are fun to listen to. I just did a quarterly forecast with my friends Palace and Cameron on the podcast, What is the Time? So you can check that out. There's a bunch of stuff to check out. You can check it all out at zambonifong.com. As always, I thank y'all for being here, for sending this to a friend, etc. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week, we are moving forward into a whole new world out here. There's a couple of things that are going to happen that are kind of a big deal this week. So the first thing that I think is a real big deal here is, so Mars has moved into Cancer and Saturn has moved into Pisces, right? And so we're going to see a trine between those two this week. A trine is typically thought of as beneficial, supportive. We can think about that tri means three, right? In the way the tripod is stable, it's secure, it's supportive, right? And so here we've got Saturn in Pisces supporting Mars in Cancer. So I don't know how much I like malefics playing together like this, like agreeing, you know what I mean? This is malefics in the water, behaving badly, potentially, you know what I mean? So I definitely would keep an eye out for, if we're thinking about water things, then there's like literal water. So look out for actual water pollution or damage or something like this. A really good way to maybe mitigate some of that would be to pray over the water and say thank you to the water and this kind of thing. Water is extremely memorable. In fact, water is the stuff of memory. It's what it does is it holds space and it sort of contains things. It holds memory, it holds information and this sort of stuff. And so it'll notice if you say thank you to it, if you say yes to it, or if you tell it loving things. It'll also remember it if you tell it the Saturn, Mars, malevolent, angry things. It'll remember those things and it will sort of push that out into the world. And so if you want to bring more beauty and harmony and joy and this kind of thing into the world, then you may get some mileage out of saying thank you to the water. Even like I'm out here at a creek right now, and so you can say thank you to this kind of water, or you can maybe like literally pour bottles of water and then you can like Reiki them if you're like into the woo-woo shit like I am, or you can just say thank you. Put your hand on the bottle and say thank you. That I think is going to be a good tool against because there's a lot of malefic stuff going on here, you know? So there's water, there's literal water, and then there's also like water significations, right? So we can think about memory, for example. We can also think about emotional concerns and this sort of stuff. Mars has moved into Cancer here. Mars in Cancer is going to be big on like, if I don't feel like it, it ain't getting done. Also this week, we've got the moon moving in. And so the moon out at the same time we've got that trine going on, then the moon is going to move into Cancer. The moon in Cancer, we typically like to see the moon in Cancer, and we like to see the moon supported by Saturn for sure. Moon with Mars in Cancer, and Mars is hella grumpy in Cancer. This is a fallen position for Mars. This is like Mars at his least comfortable. If we think about Cancer as being a place like a nursery, like a place where like you hug up the little ones, where you sort of like want things to grow and this kind of thing, like nursery for both human babies as well as plant babies and this kind of thing. It's like a specialized environment where there's a gentleness to that environment that allows the little ones to grow properly. And then you put Mars in there, and Mars's job is to fuck shit up, right? Mars's job is to break things and to push and rage and irritation, inflammation, and this kind of thing. Diaper rash just jumped into my head here, right? And so this is like, so that's like the space that we've got Mars in there, right? So you put the moon in there, and the moon is like the mama. So it's like if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right? That's the kind of situation we got going on here. That then supported by Saturn in Pisces. If we want to think about support, then like best case scenario, maybe this turns into something creative, right? I think Saturn in Pisces has a lot of potential for creativity. And especially this week, actually, if we think about creativity and arts and this sort of stuff as being associated with Venus, then Venus is currently in Taurus, at home in Taurus, able to do the Venus things very Venusly, right? So Venus in Taurus this week is going to conjoin Uranus in Taurus. Now, this is an aspect to watch for a couple of reasons here. First, because Uranus has been in Taurus for a while now, since 2018. And so Venus coming in to conjoin Uranus, this is going to happen at 16 degrees of Taurus, which is also where we had our last North Node eclipse at 16 degrees of Taurus. So it's likely that that's going to resonate in some kind of way with whatever's been going on with the eclipses, and with whatever's been going on with Uranus. You know, we've seen Uranus being associated with, like recently there's been like a lot of natural disasters, sort of cataclysms. There was a big tornado in Mississippi and this kind of thing. We're also going to be looking at probably, with Taurus, we're going to be seeing the like values and the sort of stable things, food, shelter, housing, currency, all that sort of stuff. That's been in a lot of flux since 2018. Venus here as the ruler of this area and no longer under a square from Saturn, where last year we had the same aspect, but it was like under the square from Saturn, and it was there's all this like boundary or negation that comes along with that Saturn. Now Saturn in Pisces is in Venus's exaltation, offering a sextile. So this looks much more creative. It looks much more, so if we think about Uranus as being innovation, invention, and there's something creative going on there, then we definitely see an opportunity to sort of move out and try some new things. This is very fertile for creativity and stuff like this. Also, it's a really good idea to pay attention to whatever house Taurus is for you, because what we're gonna, and see what kind of significations come up in that house, and then think Venus and Uranus changes creativity and this sort of thing in that area of your chart. It's likely that we're going to see more of this stuff come up later when we've got Venus retrograde in Leo this summer, because that's going to be in a square aspect to this Uranus, and it's going to go back and forth again. And so that's going to really highlight this Uranus and Taurus situation. So we've got this conjunction from Venus happening right now, the ruler, and then that's going to be an opening square that we're going to get that square 3 times. So this is like the opening act of that, as it were. So it's like we're on the way to that Venus retrograde in Leo, and if we're thinking about Leo things, then Leo is opposite to Pluto, who has moved into Aquarius, right? And so there's definitely something new that wants to take place here as far as the Leo things, as far Pallas mentioned leading, and so check that out in the podcast, and like dramatic things and ceremony and performance and all of the sun stuff is likely to come up during that Venus retrograde in Leo, right? We're going to see an opening act of that happening now. There's a strong push toward creativity and being able to think outside the box in some way. The boundaries are not what you thought they were anymore. And that's kind of annoying sometimes if you were like planning on hanging on some monkey bars and those monkey bars turn to mush, then you might fall down. That's like weird now, right? But in falling down that way, then you might learn something about the nature of gravity or some shit like this, right? Like if we can think outside of, instead of being like, oh no, I fell down, I hate these bars. Instead of that, what if we thought into, okay, well, now that that's what's going on out here, what can we do about this? What kind of opportunities are now available? If necessity is the mother of invention, and Uranus is really good with that kind of invention, I really love, there's like something MacGyver-y about Uranus and Taurus that's like taking this physical stuff and able to use it in a different way or something like this, make something delicious happen. So shout out to the bakers. The bakers are going to have a good week this week. Thank y'all for being here. If you want to check it out, zambonifunk.com/music, especially.